You know that person who never posts anything? Maybe it's your friend. Maybe it's you. While everyone else is busy documenting every vacation, meal, or life update, they're just quietly living it. And while it might seem like they're missing out, there's a chance they figured out something the rest of us haven't. The less you feel the need to prove your life online, the more real it actually feels. Think about this for a second. When was the last time you posted on social media? Now think about how many times you almost posted something but didn't. That hesitation tells you everything because somewhere between opening the app and pressing share, your brain starts calculating. Will people like this? Do I look interesting enough? Successful enough? Happy enough? There's a sociologist named Irving Goffman who explained how people naturally wear different social masks depending on who they're around. But social media didn't invent the mask. It just placed it on a stage in front of millions of people. And unlike real life, the performance stays there forever. One awkward caption isn't temporary anymore, it becomes searchable, permanent, something people can revisit and judge years later. So people who rarely post are often rejecting the performance entirely. And interestingly, research shows this is more common than most people think. A huge percentage of social media users are what researchers call lurkers, people who scroll and observe, but rarely share anything themselves. And that word sounds strange, almost negative, but psychology research found something important about why this happens. When people constantly compare themselves to others while also feeling pressure to present themselves perfectly, it creates anxiety and emotional exhaustion. Eventually, the brain chooses the safer option. Watch quietly, don't participate, and honestly, that makes sense. Comparison is exhausting. Everyone online is showing carefully selected highlights while you're experiencing ordinary daily life in real time. Someone got promoted, someone got engaged, someone bought a house. And even if you logically know those moments are curated, your brain still reacts emotionally. Psychologists have found that passive scrolling still triggers comparison automatically. Your subconscious doesn't care whether the image is authentic or staged. It simply registers, they're doing better than me. People who avoid posting often recognize this game for what it is, not because they're antisocial, because they understand how draining constant validation can become. There's a psychological theory called self-determination theory. It suggests people function best when they feel internally motivated rather than controlled by outside approval. Social media often does the opposite. It turns self-worth into measurable public feedback, likes, views, comments, reactions, and over time, it becomes easy to confuse attention with value. People who rarely post tend to separate those things more clearly. Their confidence doesn't depend on strangers reacting to their life. They still watch content, they still stay informed, but they value boundaries. And if you think about people you know who barely use social media, they usually aren't miserable. In fact, many seem calmer, more grounded, because they're living their experiences instead of constantly documenting them. And there's another interesting pattern. A lot of people who avoid posting still consume long form content constantly. They'll watch documentaries, podcasts, or long YouTube videos for hours. But avoid platforms built entirely around performance and self promotion. Why? Because passive content feels psychologically safer. There's no pressure to maintain an image, no expectation to update people on your life, no invisible audience waiting for your next post. You simply watch, learn, laugh, and leave. Entertainment without social anxiety. And honestly, that feels freeing. There's another layer people rarely talk about. Those who avoid social media often prefer fewer relationships, but deeper ones. They'd rather have a handful of close friendships than hundreds of surface level interactions online. And research consistently supports this. The quality of relationships predicts happiness far more than quantity. A few genuine conversations matter more than thousands of reactions. But what's fascinating is that people who stay quiet online are often extremely observant. They notice changes in behavior, different tones and captions, the subtle ways people present themselves. They're not disconnected, they're paying attention carefully. Just privately, psychologists describe two forms of self awareness. Public self consciousness focuses on how others see you. Private self consciousness focuses on your own thoughts, emotions, and values. People who rarely post usually lean toward the second one. Instead of asking, "How will this look?" they ask, "How does this actually feel?" And that difference matters because when you stop constantly managing your public image, you create space for genuine self reflection, for building an identity that exists without an audience, a sense of self that doesn't require constant approval to feel real. And maybe that's the part people misunderstand most. Not posting isn't always insecurity. Sometimes it's the opposite, sometimes it's control. It's deciding that certain experiences become less meaningful the moment they turn into content. That sunset becomes less beautiful when viewed through a camera. That conversation becomes less personal when part of your brain is already writing the caption. That achievement feels different when it belongs only to you. Research even suggests that people who post less are often less emotionally affected by the highs and lows of online validation. They aren't tying their identity to reactions. They're playing a different game entirely. And here's the irony in all of this: the same qualities that make people avoid social media, self awareness, emotional security, reflection, are the exact things social media originally promised to give people: connection, belonging, self expression. But somewhere along the way, connection slowly became performance, and being quiet online started seeming strange. The people who step away from that aren't rejecting human connection, they're rejecting the performance attached to it. They still want relationships, just without the audience, without the pressure, without turning every moment into content. So maybe the people who rarely post aren't missing out at all. Maybe they simply realized something earlier than everyone else. That privacy can feel peaceful, that presence matters more than presentation, and that a meaningful life doesn't become more valuable just because strangers watched it happen. Because at the end of the day, nobody wishes they spent more time posting, but plenty of people wish they spent more time actually living. If this resonated with you, subscribe for more psychology videos. And let me know in the comments, do you think social media brings people closer together or pushes them further apart?